Welcome to Backbone Unlimited. My name is Matt Hartsky. In this episode, we're digging into 5 hard-earned mule deer hunting lessons I wish I would have known earlier in my journey. I'm not talking about generic tips you can find in the comments section of a hunting forum. These are real-world lessons, the kind you only learn when a big buck ghosts you or you sit glassing empty hills for hours wondering what you missed. Now, I've been at this for over 33 seasons, and if there's one thing I can say about mule deer, it's that they don't forgive mistakes. You don't just walk into their world and luck into consistent success. You've got to earn it. You've got to think like a mule deer, move like a shadow, and stalk like a predator who's learned when to wait and when to strike. This episode is built for the bow hunter or rifle hunter chasing public land bucks in the West, the guys who grind it out above timberline or pick apart the breaks in badlands in search of a ghost that might only show himself once a week. We're covering terrain mistakes, stalking mindset, wind strategy, glassing discipline, and what separates near misses from filled tags. If you're ready to get better and stop learning the hard way, let's jump into the first tip. Hunt mule deer where they actually live, not where you want them to be. One of the biggest mistakes I made early on was hunting terrain that looked good to me instead of focusing on where mule deer actually spend their time. It's easy to fall in love with the scenery, big bulls, long ridges, picturesque backdrops. You hike in, look around, and think, this is perfect. But guess what? If mule deer aren't using it, you're just taking your bow or rifle for a hike. I spent years covering country that looked incredible on the map, but consistently came up empty. It took me a long time to accept a hard truth. Mule deer don't care what looks deery. They care about what keeps them alive. And that means the real spots are often inconvenient. They're tucked just off the edge of pressure. They're on weird benches below cliffs. They're in tiny patches of shade in an otherwise open basin. Sometimes they're on north slopes you don't want to climb down into, or in low country sagebrush pockets other guys hike right past on the way to higher elevations. You got to stop assuming they'll be in the prettiest glassing spot or the highest alpine bowl. Look for 3 things: security, visibility, and escape. If you want to predict where mature mule deer live, focus on these 3 elements. Security. Bucks bed where they feel safe. That usually means they're shaded, have a wind advantage, and can see what's coming. These beds are rarely wide open. They're tucked under cover, just off the lip of a ridge or the edge of a finger ridge they can drip in and out of easily. Now, visibility, mature bucks don't like surprises. They want to see their surroundings and they use terrain to their advantage. If there's a spot where they can bed in shade with a full view of a basin below, it's probably already claimed. Escape routes. Every mature buck knows his exit routes, whether it's a steep chute, a timbered draw, or a zigzag outcropping. He's got an escape plan. That's why you'll find bucks just below cliffs or in finger ridges that let them ghost out the back door the second something's off. This is something I wish I would have locked onto way earlier. Go where the sign is, not just where the country looks good. If you're glassing areas with no beds, no droppings, no tracks, and no trails, you're wasting time. That doesn't mean you bail after 10 minutes, but it does mean your scouting, both digital and boots on the ground, should prioritize evidence of deer use, not just gut instinct or pretty terrain. You're looking for fresh poop, track lines, rubs, and especially beds. Beds tell you where a buck lives. Food tells you where he visits. Water shows you where he travels. But the beds, that's home, and that's where you'll kill him. Sometimes the best mule deer country is steep, sketchy, or just plain annoying to hunt. It doesn't glass well. It's not comfortable. But if it checks the boxes for security, visibility, and escape, and there's sign, it's worth your time. You've got to adapt your hunt to the deer and not the other way around. The sooner I made that mental shift, the more bucks I found, and the less time I wasted chasing empty hills that just look good on a topo map. Now, patience isn't optional. It's the whole game. I'll be blunt. If you can't be patient, you won't kill big mule deer consistently. Mule deer are masters of stillness. They'll bed down for hours, barely twitching an ear. They'll hold tight in cover while you walk right past them. And when they do move, it's usually slow, deliberate, and calculated. But most hunters, they're in a rush. They want the buck to stand up now. They want the stock to unfold on their timeline. They push it. They shortcut it. They try to force a shot instead of letting it unfold the way it's supposed to. I used to be one of those guys. I'd glass a buck, make a plan, and get moving fast, thinking speed was the key. But speed got me busted. It got me winded. It got me into position before the buck was even thinking about getting up, and I'd spend hours pinned down, or worse, watching him blow out the back door without ever offering a shot. Eventually, I learned what real mule deer hunters know. Patience is the weapon. You've got to watch longer than feels comfortable. If you spot a buck bedded and you're sure he's in a good killable spot, the move isn't necessarily go now. The move is usually watch him, breathe, watch him shift, figure out his rhythm here. Figure out the wind in that exact microzone. Map his escape routes. Watch how the shadows are moving across the slope. I've sat behind glass for 5 or 6 hours before making a move. I've sat within 80 yards of a buck for 3 hours waiting for him to stand. It's not glamorous, but if you're not willing to wait, you'll never be in position when it matters most. Even when you're within bow range, you often have to sit, not crawl, not shuffle, not peek, just sit. Motion kills more stalks than scent or sound. You might have 45 minutes of nothing, just silence and pressure building in your chest. But when that buck stands to stretch, you're already there. You're calm, you're anchored, and that's how the shot's supposed to happen. I've screwed this up before. I've shifted my weight too soon, tried to gain a few more yards, or tried to peek for a better angle, only to see a white butt disappear over the ridge. You've got to get there before it's time. Then you wait, because success comes to the hunter who's already still when the window opens. Don't rush the shot. Wait for the right one. This ties directly into patience. You've done all the work. You're in range. You're locked on. And then the buck steps half forward and pins his leg back, covering the vitals. You have two choices. Try to sneak the shot through and hope it works out, or wait. And I'll tell you right now, the guys who tag bucks year after year, they wait. They don't rush. They know a clean kill is worth missing a chance without regrets. I've passed shots that felt close to right, but not quite. And it was torture in the moment, but I've never regretted waiting when I knew the shot wasn't there. You either take the perfect shot or you don't take it at all. That's the mule deer code, because living with a wounded animal never feels good and it will haunt you. Discipline is what fills tags. We talk a lot about glassing and gear and angles with Backbone Unlimited, but patience is what ties it all together. It's what gets you within range. It's what keeps you undetected. It's what gives you the clean broadside shot. If you take one thing from this segment, let it be this: slow everything down, because out there on the mountain, waiting with discipline kills more bucks than rushing with adrenaline ever will. Now, wind and thermals matter more than terrain. I don't care how good the terrain is. If the wind isn't right, you're out of the game. This is one of those truths I had to learn through repeated failure. I'd find the perfect stalk route, good cover, great approach, solid shooting lanes, and I'd blow it because the wind shifted or the thermal started rolling uphill in the late morning. And let me tell you, once a mule deer smells you, the game is over. You don't get a second chance. You don't spook him a little. He's gone and he's not coming back. Mule deer trust their nose first, just like a lot of animals. A big buck might give you a pass if he hears something faint. He might freeze or stomp if he sees a flicker of movement. But if he smells you, it's full retreat every time. They don't question it. They don't look back. And they don't make the same mistake twice. That's why mature mule deer live as long as they do. They trust the wind more than their eyes or ears. And we need to think the same way. Thermals change everything. If you're hunting mountain country or anywhere with elevation changes, you have to factor in thermals. And I'm not just talking about early morning down, late morning up advice. You need to learn how the wind moves in that exact basin, in that exact draw, and in that exact hour. Thermals rise as the sun heats the slope. They drop as shadows cool it. Timber holds thermals longer. Rock warms and shifts the air faster. Wind rolls through saddles and curls up cliffs. It's not always predictable, but if it is learnable if you pay attention. I've hunted spots where the thermals reversed at 10:30 a.m. on the dot every day. I've hunted others where they never really changed because of consistent downhill shade and structure. The point is, you can't assume. You've got to know in that spot. Use wind as a stock filter. Before I even think about making a move on a bedded buck, I look at the wind. If it's wrong, I don't go. Period. I don't try to sneak around it. I don't gamble. I wait or I relocate, because here's the truth. There's no such thing as a successful stock with bad wind. I've thrown away entire days because I refused to push a stock with sketchy wind, and I've never regretted it, because then you can always go back and hunt that buck, but not true if you blow him out. On the flip side, every time I've told myself it might hold long enough, or maybe I can cut the angle, I've blown the buck out every time. Carry wind indicators and use them constantly. You need to be checking the wind all the time, especially during your stalk, not just when you start, not just when you close, constantly. I carry a small squeeze bottle with unscented powder. Every time you crest a ridge, drop into a draw, or shift direction, check it. Wind swirls in dips. It surges in funnels. You can have steady wind all morning and suddenly feel it brush your neck when you slide behind a boulder. And if you're not checking, you'll never see it coming. Here's a personal one. No wind equals bad wind. This is another hard truth, and maybe some guys are going to have a hard time understanding it or want to debate it. But calm days are quiet days, and it seems like it would be easy to move. But in my experience, no wind is much, much worse than strong wind when mule deer hunting. When the air is still, it's unpredictable. It shifts with every little thermal. It moves with your body heat. It pulls and curls and makes micro swirls that you'll never control. A steady wind, even if it's strong, is predictable. It gives you an anchor, it gives you a plan, and it keeps your scent flowing one direction, and it gives you sound control. So when I see a calm forecast, I get wary. And when I see 10 to 15 mile an hour winds that are consistent all day, I get excited because I know I can trust it. Your stalk begins with the wind. Forget terrain advantages, forget shot angles. If the wind isn't working for you, it's working against you, and those other things won't matter. Make it your first question before every stalk. Where will my scent go if I move right now? If the answer isn't perfect, don't move, reposition, wait, or back out entirely. Because when the wind is right, the terrain opens up. The odds shift in your favor, and your chances of killing that buck go from slim to real. You can't stalk what you can't see, so it's important, it's a must that you become a better glasser. Let's call this what it is. Most hunters aren't as good at glassing as they think they are. They buy a good pair of optics, post up on a ridge, scan the hills for 10 minutes, and if they don't see a buck standing broadside in the open, they assume they're not there. But here's the reality. The bucks are there a lot of times. You're just not seeing them. Glassing isn't about covering ground. It's about learning to see. It's about slowing down your mind, scanning in layers, and training your eyes to Pick up on the smallest flicker of an ear, a shadow out of place, or a tine catching just the right glint of light. Stop scanning, start picking apart the country. This is the difference between looking and seeing. This was a huge turning point in my mule deer hunting. I used to scan like I was looking for something obvious, but mature bucks don't stand out. They blend in. So now I slow everything down. I grid every slope. I work top to bottom, left to right, overlapping as I go. I glass like I'm trying to spot a hidden fawn, not a 180-inch buck. And it works. I've found so many bucks by catching just the backline curve of a spine in the brush, or one flick of an ear, or a tine barely peeking up above a sagebrush clump. If you're not methodical, you're going to miss the deer that's right in front of you. Glass more than you hike. It's tempting to keep moving. You want to see more country, explore more ridges, hit more basins, but movement isn't always your friend. If I'm in mule deer country that looks right and I've got elevation, shade, and water nearby, I'll sit and glass for hours, and then I'll glass it again. Mule deer are so good at disappearing into their surroundings that a 200-pound buck can bed 300 yards away and you'll never know it unless you're dialed in and give it time. I've glassed the same hillside 3 times before finally picking up a bedded buck on the 4th pass. They were there the whole time. I just wasn't seeing them. You've got to use your optics, not just carry them around, right? If your binos live on your chest, but you never anchor them on a tripod, you're missing out. Freehand glassing is great for quick looks and close scans, but serious spotting happens when you stabilize that glass. I use a bino adapter and a lightweight tripod, and once I lock in, I don't move until I've picked the terrain apart. If I'm using a spotter, I treat it like a microscope, zooming in on bedding areas, tree lines, shadow pockets, and rocky ledges where bucks like to bed. Don't underestimate light. Morning and evening light can either hide or highlight what you're looking for. You have to understand how to learn to use the shadows instead of fighting them. Look for the right features. Not all terrain is equal when it comes to glassing. You want places that give you a wide field of view, elevation above bedding zones, comfort to glass for long periods without fidgeting, wind in your favor so your scent isn't rolling into the basin. Once you find that kind of perch, stay put. Don't abandon it just because you haven't seen something for 20 minutes. Big bucks don't show themselves easily, and most guys walk away too early. You got to practice this like it's a skill, because it is. Glassing isn't just something you do, it's something you develop. When I'm not in the field, I still train my eyes. I still sit in my backyard or a local park and try to pick out squirrels, birds, or anything hidden in the brush or trees. I focus on staying still, scanning with discipline, and noticing patterns. It keeps my eyes sharp and it transfers directly to the mountainside. You can't stalk what you can't see. So before you worry about closing the distance, learn to spot the buck in the first place. Kill windows are measured in seconds. So when it comes time, you've got to be ready before you move. Let's talk about something that's cost more bow hunters than their bucks than just about anything else. Not being ready when the moment finally arrives. You did everything right. You found the buck. You glassed him for hours. You planned your stalk meticulously and executed it perfectly. You're inside 50 yards. But then he stands, stretches, takes 2 steps, and gives you a clean broadside, and you freeze. Or you're adjusting your footing, or your bow's not in your hand, or you're still ranging and second guessing. And just like that, he's gone. Because here's the truth. Mature mule deer don't give you time to fumble around. They stand, they pause, they move, and you either seize the moment or watch it disappear. So get ready long before it's time. Your moment to draw doesn't start when the buck stands up. It starts when you settle into your final position. That's when you get everything dialed and ready. Here's what I do the second I'm in position. I range every rock, bush, or landmark in the zone where I think the buck might walk or stand that I can remember. I memorize the yardage so I'm not scrambling with my rangefinder later. I prep my shooting lane, clear debris, stay low, and make sure my knees or pack won't bind up my draw. I take a few breaths and calm myself. Then I stay still. I don't let the buck see movement. I don't try to sneak 5 more yards. I stay frozen, bow in hand, ready. You might only get one chance. Some guys think the buck will give them multiple angles or that he'll mill around in the open like a target on a range, but that's very rarely how it usually goes. Mature bucks are edgy. They don't just stand broadside for a full minute. Most of the time when they stand from a bed, they stretch, take a quick look around, and they're on the move. You've got a short window, maybe 5 seconds sometimes. So if you're not ready to anchor and release when the window opens, you'll miss your only chance. And you've got to practice this like it's real too. Your practice session should reflect this reality. That means shooting from an awkward kneeling or seated position, practicing fast draw and release after long holds, shooting with a racing heart and shaky breath, drilling short-range accuracy at odd angles and uneven footing, because that's what it'll feel like in the moment. You'll be on a slope, your knees will hurt, your legs will be asleep, your heart will be pounding, and you'll have to draw smooth, anchor steady, and execute a clean shot with no second chance. Anticipate the movement without forcing it. There's a fine line between being ready and being too eager. I've had bucks stand up but never give me the angle. I waited longer, and finally watched them bed back down or move behind cover. But I didn't force it, because the moment you force it, the whole hunt can fall apart. Being ready doesn't mean taking bad shots. It means you're prepared to execute the right shot if it presents itself. If it doesn't, you stay calm, you stay still, you wait again. That's the discipline that leads to clean kills and full packs. Control the moment. Don't let it control you. There's a saying I use a lot. The moment doesn't define you, your preparation does. When a big buck stands at 34 yards, quartering away, and you shouldn't be wondering if you can make the shot. You should know, because you've practiced that exact angle 100 times. You've drilled from that position. You've felt that adrenaline before, and your body knows what to do. That's how you win in the moment. Every one of these tips was learned the hard way, not from a book, but from making these mistakes, getting my butt kicked in the high country year after year until things started to click. So here's a quick recap. Hunt where mule deer actually live, not where you think they should be. Patience is your greatest weapon. Use it at every stage. Wind and thermals are king. Learn them like your life depends on it. Become a disciplined glasser, because you can't kill what you can't find. Be ready before the moment comes, because kill windows are fast and unforgiving. If these 5 tips help you avoid even one blown stock this season, this episode will have done its job. If you're serious about leveling up as a backcountry hunter, check out Team Backbone and the membership at backboneunlimited.com. You'll get access to exclusive gear giveaways, private coaching from me, our digital content vault, and a community of driven public land hunters. Thanks for being here. Until next time, train harder, hunt smarter, use these lessons to kill more mule deer, and never settle.